Hello everybody, Hellcrux here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere. And today we're going to be talking about the Scimitar, the Medium Hover Tank. It's 35 tons. It's an 812 with an internal combustion engine, so it doesn't come with any heat sinks, and with the weapons loadout, doesn't need it. At 812, it's not that bad. It's got some fairly good movement. And then we have 6 tons of armor for 96 points. So it's fairly well armored for a 35 tonner. And it can get around, take a few hits, and probably hopefully escape without getting hammered too hard. Now, weapons loadout, it has an AC5, which I guess is the same weapon system found on the Clint. It's like, hey, just use the same weapon. And it comes with a ton of ammo with 20 shots. It doesn't need more than a ton. All right, so that's the nice thing about it. Then also in the turret, we have 2 SRM2s with a single ton of ammo. Now, with the SRM2s, you might have considered if they had an extra ton of ammo. Obviously, you could give yourself some specialty ammunition like regular and inferno, or you could just go straight inferno, and when you get close you start burning people down. A lot of people don't realize that if you hit a like say another vehicle with infernos and they don't have heat sinks, so yeah, it can be a bad day. So you're rolling on the crit tables there. But and if you're running against infantry, you hit them with infernos, you're going to cook them down pretty good. Hit mechs, you can heat them up and potentially kick them up on the heat scale where they have to make a die roll for, let's say, ammunition explosion or shutdown, which I've done before. Hit somebody with infernos before and watched a 100-ton mech, like the last time I really did it. Guy was running hot and I seen him hit him with infernos, and yeah, it's like, oh, first dire, oh, ammo explosion, boom, and it just sympathetic explosion, and it totally ripped this mech apart. So yeah, you can do some strange stuff with infernos. So with a vehicle that is an A12, yeah, you can get across the table pretty quickly. Then you're using that AC5 to good effect. It's not a lot of firepower, especially with something that runs around 500 battle value. It's not going to, by itself, really scream, hey, I'm over here, let's go chase it down and kill it, because it's dangerous. Not really dangerous. It's more dangerous in a wolf pack, but when you're kicked 4 of these out of a lance and you're looking at 2,000 battle value, when you're strictly doing combined arms or just conventional activities, say you're using nothing but vehicles and infantry, all right, it can do a good job. And like I said, if you have a lance of these and they all hit with their AC5s, they're going to do some damage. It may not be in the same spot, it may be spread around, but you add up over the course of, let's say, 2, 3, 4 turns, they can do some good damage against a mech. And if the mech decides to get close enough, then you hit them with those infernos, or just straight SRM2s, depending on how you got it loaded out. And then you go crit hunting, hopefully. So my advice is don't get too close. Don't rely on those SRM2s. This is one of those vehicles, hovercraft, they have a tendency to get motive hit easier because the lift systems on them are more susceptible to damage. So you take a couple hits, especially if somebody hits you with an SRM pack or a long-range LRMs, you have a better chance of getting knocked off 1, 2, maybe in 3 pips worth of movement, and suddenly you're going 8 down to a 5-8 or 7-11, 5-8, or even a 4-6. And when a vehicle like this is suddenly moving down into the 1, maybe 2 mod range, they die really quick. So, Wi-Fi, stay at a distance. You know, make sure you got all that ammo and use it. That's all I gotta say. Now, there are a few different variants of this vehicle. Now, this one I can get around because if you got a lance of these, let's say you got 2 of them or maybe 3 of them are the standard version, and the 3rd version or 4th version, you got them as a missile version. So to replace the AC-5 with an LR-15. This greatly increases your long-range fire support on this platform, and I can get behind that 100%. It doesn't hurt to have maybe 1 or 2 out of the lance that you don't want to get too close. You can just sit there either behind, park it someplace in the woods, behind a hill, and let the other ones do the spotting for you, and then if necessary, you can come out and play or something. Or you can just do a long-range drive-by where the entire lance is trying to go around the flanks, working your way into the backside of enemy formations, and then start hitting them with the AC-5s and the LRM-15s. So to me, it's a direct swap. It's like you want at least 1, maybe 2 of the missile versions in your lance. Now, later, when the 3050 Tech come along, we got the TAG vehicle that comes around. The TAG version does not use the autocannon. It has a TAG spotting laser used to help guide in for your artillery, like your Arrow 4, etc. And it's been upgraded. The missile launchers have been upgraded to SRM-4s, and it has a NARC beacon on board. So now, when you have a NARC system, it helps you when you lock onto somebody and it hits the vehicle with or mech with the NARC, you get that +2 in the next turn. So I can get behind a TAG version like this. All right, so it's getting in close. It's going to use the SRM-4s as your weapon system. It's going to hit your one. Basically, this is going to be your one out of the lance. Say you got 4 of them. You got 2 standards of LRM version, and then you maybe have a TAG version, and you got Arrow 4 system behind you, or some type of other artillery. And you're going to get this thing in close, hit the NARC beacon on somebody, and then all the missiles will start raining in, locking in on this whoever's been tagged. So yeah, your primary targets will be like assault mechs or something like that. And you want a vehicle that can get there quickly. And I've never been a fan of putting a NARC system on a mech. I'd rather have it on a vehicle that comes in a lot cheaper. Yeah, it's like the battle value is like 50 more than your standard version. That isn't too bad when you got something that is a 812 moving vehicle that can do a drive-by, get in there, 1 turn, hit somebody with the NARC, tag on the way in, because the tag will go out to 15. You know, you can tag somebody, and then you're raining down fire with that. So I can get behind that. That's not a bad thing, because I'd rather have my NARC beacons on vehicles than my mechs. That's just me, though. There's a few other people might agree. Then there's the Mark II version. This is a Dark Age version. And it doesn't say much information about it. Then there's a C3 version. It's also a TAG version. Basically, you have a rotary rack 2 with 2 tons of ammunition, a C3 slave, and it has ferrofibrous armor. All right, so basically, it is going in there with a C3, doing the spotting, getting in close, and then it's using the rotary cannon to shoot targets that are farther away. It's outside its minimum range. And with the heavy ferrofibrous armor, it's got a little more armor to do it. And I can get behind that too. So if you got a C3 system, you can either have it based on your vehicles or your mechs or a combination of both. And if you want somebody to get in close outside an ECM bubble, it's not a bad option. But it does come with a hefty price of about 150 more battle value. So there you got that. Now, I wouldn't be opposed. It's like if you had the 3050 versions where you have more prevalence of fusion reactors, swapping out the internal combustion engine for a fusion reactor and put a large laser on it. That might work too. Or a PPC. Something of that nature. Because that's a pretty good direct swap. If you had a fusion reactor on board, is swap the AC5 for a PPC. And you're up to your you're going to be a little more in battle value, but then you're doing more damage. And then you can take that extra tonnage you have with it and either upgrade the 2 SRM2s or add another SRM2 and another ton of ammo to go with it. So you can run 3 SRM2s and some Inferno ammo. So you got 2 types of ammo. So that's some of the options I have thought about doing also. And it's based on a pretty cheap chassis. So that is the Scimitar Medium Hover Tank. Not bad. It's your typical almost expendable cheap vehicle. That's what it, and considering the cost, you could buy a lance of these for the cost of your typical light or medium mech. You know, you look at it that way. So it's well worth thinking about looking at using vehicles like this. All right, that's it. Hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.